One of the assumptions underlying exclusionary discipline is that such punishments have a deterrent effect on punished students and those observing the punishment. In fact, however, students who are suspended are more likely to engage in increased levels of misbehavior in the future. Cheryl Hemphill and her colleagues, studying 12 to 16-year-olds in the United States and Australia, found that out-of-school suspension was a predictor of future antisocial behavior, even when controlling for a wide range of risk and protective factors. It's, again, if we think about common sense applications, our high school students, how well does the philosophy of deterrence work when those high school students really can't think much beyond, I'm the one who's never going to be caught here? So again, our research seems to mirror our common sense. I can see people smiling who have teenagers in the audience. Further, there is little evidence that removal of disruptive students will yield a safer and more effective school climate that is more conducive to learning for those students who remain. Matthew Steinberg, Elaine Allensworth, and David Johnson analyzed survey and school discipline data from the Chicago Public Schools. They found that among schools with similar demographics, schools with higher rates of exclusionary discipline had lower ratings of safety from both students and teachers. Rather than supporting the idea that suspension and expulsion contribute to more appropriate or safer schools, available evidence supports the reality of what has come to be called the school-to-prison pipeline, wherein exclusion from school predicts academic disengagement, dropout, and an increased probability of involvement with the juvenile justice system. To what extent have federal and state reforms succeeded in creating change at the local level? Are the alternatives successful in terms of maintaining a safe climate and improving school achievement? Perhaps most importantly, what resources and professional development do schools need in order to be able to successfully implement new models of school discipline? In closing, we stand at a crossroads in our understanding of the purpose and function of school discipline. The data continue to show that exclusionary discipline is a risk factor in and of itself, especially for members of marginalized groups. There is a rapidly emerging set of studies identifying alternatives to suspension and expulsion. The data also seem to show that reducing racial gaps in discipline is more difficult and will almost certainly necessitate more explicit attention to issues of race in implementing those interventions. And is research conducted by members of AERA have shown that how difficult it is to talk about the issue of race, and yet that's an issue that we're going to clearly have to be willing to do to achieve the kind of reductions in the disciplinary gap that we're hoping for. We've reached a point where the detrimental effect of current disciplinary practices has been strongly demonstrated. What is needed are strong studies that examine the effects and effectiveness of a full range of alternatives that can meet the twin goals of keeping schools' environments safe and productive, while also keeping the maximum number of students engaged and present at school. Our students deserve no less.